Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm a Zen Buddhist practitioner, and I do have a Buddhist name. That's Tatsudo. And I just want to share a bit today about what I do and why I do what I do. I started practicing Zen quite early in my life when I was in my late teens, like 17, 18. And originally it was just a way I was looking for something that would help me think about making life decisions. And I just basically, in a nutshell, I just didn't know how to make a life decision. It was very clear to me that decision making the way I had as a very, very young, not even really adult, but as a young person, I had grown into decision making. Everything was quite determined by what felt like other people, what other people wanted, what was expected of me, and so forth. And I just realized that in order to make a real decision, one that I felt I could and I would want to unfold my life from that decision, that I didn't yet know how to do that, or what that inner place could possibly be from which I would feel, oh, this is my life. This is what I want to do. I just didn't know at that age how to do that. And so I started asking these questions and looking into how life works, and like, how do you know who you are and what to do, and what are good or like guidelines for living and stuff like that. These questions led me into philosophy, they led me into religion, and eventually they led me into Buddhism. And for me, the real change, a complete game changer, was the very first time I sat on a meditation cushion. It was just to simply sit. I arrived at, just kind of like by coincidence, actually, that's a kind of funny story, but maybe not for right now. By coincidence, I ended up in the center, which now I'm responsible for, and I'm sitting in this center right now in the Black Forest, the Zen Buddhist Center in the Black Forest in Germany. And I ended up here just as part of my trying to figure out how to live my life. And I didn't know about Zen. I didn't know what Buddhism was all about, really. I did know it had something to do with meditation. And I did have some inkling that meditation could help. So I came to Johanneshof, is what it was called at the time, the Zen Buddhist Center here in the Black Forest. They put me on a meditation cushion. We started sitting really early in the morning. The wake up at that time was at 4 a.m. And I didn't know how to meditate. They just put me on that cushion. It was a dark room and there was no instruction. And it was interesting. It was both hell and at the same time, the first time I ever felt it was like I was landing in my life. The experience of it was something like as if I was arriving from outer space somewhere, some kind of non-local feeling that was beginning to incarnate almost, as if I was suddenly arriving in this life. And it was painful for me, particularly. It was like, it wasn't exactly on the spectrum of a pleasant, unpleasant. It wasn't a pleasant experience, really, but it was an experience that for me, deep, profound importance. And I knew from then on that was how I wanted to live. I just felt like my feet were starting to actually stand on the ground, and I just started feeling that I now had, in this particular setting here in the Zen Buddhist Center, it all for me was a huge, almost like a supportive field to get me in contact with what I was actually experiencing, and again, like with my life, with what I was feeling, and with what was around me. There were moments when I opened my eyes after meditation, and I sometimes felt like, geez, I feel like I've never actually seen anything before, and now I feel I'm seeing. And I felt it's the first time I'm actually hearing, I'm actually smelling. It was that kind of experience for me. So it was very clear from the beginning on that I wanted to just learn how to fully inhabit this contact from moment to moment, this contact. I did have the idea in the beginning that fully inhabiting all this would probably take about 1 or 2 weeks. That didn't turn out to be the case. After 2 weeks, I found out it's not fully inhabited quite yet. So I added another couple of weeks to my stay at the Buddhist center. And those couple of weeks just kept adding up to now a lifetime, essentially. And I'm realizing, much like my Dharma grandfather, Suzuki Roshi, says the Bodhisattva path is 1,000 miles long. It's just, you're just on one track, and there's no end to the path. And that's definitely the feeling I have now. I don't want to do anything but just keep unfolding how the next moment, and just like life, even in its long trajectories, how that emerges from this present moment. This present moment has become this like treasure box of potentialities and possibilities and so forth. And so it's just being engaged in the mystery of existence that has made, for me, my life feel alive. So that's how I started, some of the feeling of what got me started. And maybe I'll say a little bit about what exactly I'm doing. I am practicing in the lineage, Soto Zen Buddhist lineage of Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, whom I just mentioned. He's quite well known as the author of the book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. I, of course, personally never met him. But I very much did meet my teacher, Zen Tatsu Richard Baker Roshi, who is Suzuki Roshi's Dharma heir and who founded the Dharma Sangha, which is an international organization with 2 practice centers. One, the one where I'm sitting right now, the center in the Black Forest in Germany, and the other, the Crystal Mountain Zen Center, high up in the wilderness mountains of southern Colorado. Quite spectacular place. So I started practicing here in the Black Forest Center, and I really just liked the community a lot. So I got quite engaged. And then for me, though, after clearly realizing how much I just, in meeting Baker Roshi, it was clear to me, well, I didn't quite know, I didn't have a plan to become a Zen Buddhist at all, but I did feel in his presence, I just felt some kind of importance for me. I felt, here is someone who's in whose presence, it's almost like what his presence made me feel like, or what it brought forth in me. It was very clear that in his presence, I'd always feel like, this is the final destination. It was like, this moment here is what life is about. His presence made reality feel real in some funny way. And I could see that just in how he was doing things, that he always had that sense. He always had that. It was is still kind of stopped time feeling in his presence. It's just like, this is it. This is it. And so it was that feeling, first of all, but then also his immense skill to make sense of life and the world, and to lecture and to teach, that made me just want to do nothing but that. So I started practicing with him, and quite clearly dedicating my life to practicing. And then at some point, though, I realized I wanted to have some other, like my own area of even profession. I just wanted to know that I would have some skill, in case you never know in this world. I just didn't want to become dependent on a monastery, because it was clearly, it's a little bit like an artist or something, being in a monastery, especially in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's totally experimental. Like, you don't know if you'll ever have a perspective for your life. So in short, I started studying psychology in a German university, and I finished those studies. That was hugely valuable for me, because now it's giving me a more academic framework that is super, for me, very important to understand in relationship to how I understand contemplative practice, which is coming from such a different worldview. But to be quite familiar with the framework of Western psychology helps me understand both the differences, but also the shared surfaces of those two paths. And then I did also a training in a method called body-mind centering, which was developed by a wonderful woman called Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen, and it's an embodiment method. And so that training is also 4-year training that is going deeply into just what I do. It's like body mind centering is entirely about embodying the body and embodying the mind, and so forth. It's a system that cultivates a very differentiated, subtle sense of the aliveness of the body. So those are the main ingredients that are shaping what I do. And in a nutshell, I would say what has become important to me is to figure out how to use language, because that's like the tool I can work with in this whole area. And language is great because it does direct attention. People may have this cliche of, but the meditative state and everything that meditation is about is essentially non-languageable. Like, it can't be captured in words. And while that is so, it's also true that words and language totally direct attention. You can use language very easily to direct attention. Very simply, if I just say, bring your attention into your hand, attention goes where words tell it to go. So it's a very powerful tool. So what I'm doing is I am exploring how to use language to direct attention in such a way that attention slips out of the structures of our ordinary daily mind and slips into a more fluid field of mind that we can maybe call the field of the feeling body. So how to direct attention into this other way of being present in the world, and then how to explore that new territory again in words, which is quite possible. It's just a different use of language. It's not so then the words aren't things, but they are just more like dynamics or possibilities or something. So, and then the craft of meditation is all about how to fundamentally relocate our primary address, as I always say, the place where we actually feel we live. Just like I arrived from I don't know where, some kind of outer mental space. I arrived on the cushion in meditation. I think that path for how to support people in fully inhabiting the actual lives of our feeling bodies in a shared world, in a shared aliveness. And then how within that to call forth the wisdom and the compassion that's, I will say, innate, inherent in just being alive and being this sentient body in a living world. So how to call that forth, wisdom and compassion, and then again, from that experience, how to translate that into not just our feeling and thinking, but also our actions in the world. So that's like the project that I'm interested in exploring and seeing how that's possible in this modern world and in this medium. So thank you.